Hey everyone, so today we are gonna learn about Enum classes. What are Enum classes? How can you create one? And what are the purpose of Enum classes? So let's get started. Okay, so first we are gonna create a normal Kotlin class which we will use to test our files and this. So we are just gonna name it main, and in main we're just gonna have a function which would be main, and we are gonna take argument, so just like that, and not varargs, my bad. So this is going to be array of strings. So once we have this, we can run this code and test. So now moving on, we will create a enum class. What we're going to do is we're going to create class. You can directly select enum from here, or you have option of going through this and selecting naming the class as, let's say, I'm gonna name it color, so that we'll be testing out color. We're going to create an enum class. Now you have an enum class color. What purpose does it serve? So what you can do is you can create instances of color which would correspond to how color works, and you can, let's go over what exactly enum does. So what you can do is you can have enum and use it as a switch parameter, where you have a constant values in enum, and you want to just iterate over through for either of the values you want to do something, and you want to do something other. Like you can have a role enum class which has admin and a normal user role. So if the value is admin, you do something, and if the value is if the value is user, you do something else. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a color. So we are gonna create a bunch of colors. First we're gonna create red. So the general convention of enum is that you write the class constants or the constant variable names as capital. So you can have red, green, and blue. So right now what would happen is, like, if I go into main class and I want to capture the color, right, which color is there. So what I'm just gonna do is, like, I'm gonna print ln, and I'm just gonna say color dot red, and let's run this and see what happens. So once you run this, it's gonna print red. Now you may have a use case that you just don't want to see what red color means. You want to have a RGB value of it. Right now we do not support that. So what we can do is we can modify our color enum class, where we can create a constructor for it, where we will take, let's say, we'll say val r red value, which would be of type int. Then we can say val green value, which would be of type int, and then we can say val blue, which would be of type int. Now the moment you create this, as this red, green, and blue are instances of color itself, you get an error that you have to pass this value. So what we can do is, as these values are instances of color itself, then you have to pass the values for RGB. So for red, green, and blue, for the red I'm going to pass 255, and there's no green component, there's no blue component. For green, what we're going to do is we're going to create the same, but red component is 0, 255 for green, and 0 for blue. And for blue we're going to do the same thing, but the other two parameters would be 0, and the last parameter would be 255. Now let's see what happens here. There's no change in here because you're creating the instance, and you're directly accessing the instance from here. So if you run it now, what it'll do is it will still print the red. But now let's say if you want to print the RGB value of it, so you can just say what is the red component. Now you can see you're able to access the red component. You can see, okay, what is my red component, and if you run it, it will display 255. Now let's say if you want to print the red component of a green color, I mean technically it does not contain any it does not contain any color. So what you can do is I can just say green, and what is the green's red component, and it should print 0, which is correct. Now let's say what are the other purposes, like can you have a function? Yes, in in enum class you can have a function. So let's say I want to see if this color can be, you know, mixed with some other color, for example. So I can just create another function which would be like func can be mixed, right? And what I'm going to say is I'm going to take another instance of color. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pass this set of color, this, and the color that we are getting from the user. And let me just get rid of this, right? And once we have this, what we're going to do is we're going to check if, okay, if the color combination is red and blue. So this instance is red, so I'm just going to say set of, and current value would be color red, and the other value would be green, sorry, blue. Then yes, return true, right? And in case if nothing is possible, like okay, there's no red and blue color combination that you can match, what you're gonna do, you're gonna return an else condition where we're just gonna say okay, this cannot be matter mix. Now if we come here, what we can do is we can print, we're gonna check first that can we print color dot red and can we mix it with color dot blue, right? And this should let me comment this out, and this should print true, right? Yeah, it's printing true. Now let's see if we try to mix the red color with green, does this work? And it should print false because technically it is not allowed to be mixed, and that is false. So this is how you can create a method inside enum class and use it to, you know, define your custom behaviors or what you want to do with enum values and stuff like that. And there's one major use of enum, that is the purpose that it's being used for is that you can use the enum itself to iterate over stuff. So let's say you want to choose a color, and then based on the color that user has passed, you're gonna say that, you know, hey, I want to print this, I want to print, if the color is there, I want to print an object that represents that color. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna say when, and I'm gonna take an instance of color, right? Okay, I cannot directly operate over this, so I'm just gonna say val color, and I'm just gonna create a color instance which can come from a user, which can come from somewhere else or something like that. And now let's start iterating over it. So what we're going to define is, and as you can see, it is enum. So what when it's going to do is it's going to populate and say that, you know, add all the branches, add necessary red, green, and blue. It gives you an exhaustive search, and once you had red, green, and blue, it will ask you to add else condition as well, because it wants to, what if nothing matches, then what you want to do. So what we're going to do is first we're going to say red, right? If the color dot is red, we're going to return apple because apple is red color. If color is green, we are going to return grass or tree, either way works. And color dot blue, we're going to just return ocean. Now what we can do is we can assign this to a val item representation, right? And once we have this, what we can do is go ahead and print the item representation. So let's say I want to print saying that, you know, print which color represents. So I'm just gonna say dollar color looks like, let's go with that, looks like, and I'm just gonna print the item value, right? So I'm just gonna comment this out for time being, and I'll run this. So red should print apple, red looks like apple. But what if we change this color? Let's say we change this to green, right? What would that give? It should give us tree, and so on and so forth. Let's go with blue just to test it out. And let's say now that you have blue and ocean, now what else? What if you come up with a branch that does not exist? So I'll write this else condition later on. Let's say we go into the colors and we add a color which is basically undefined, right? And we're just gonna pass -1 because there's no color as -1, right? Now what happens? This is gonna pop us saying that, add the else branch, but we it will pop us to add the else branch or the necessary undefined branch. Let's say I do not want to add a defined branch, I just add the else. So anything that does not match the given set of colors that we have already given it, like color red, blue or green, the set of representations, you can just say, no no object no, for example, just. And now if I change this to undefined color, now it will print that, hey, undefined looks like no object found, which does not make sense technically, but yeah, you get the point. So this is how you can use arrays. This is how you can use enums, and the whole purpose of enum is this. And you can create other variables, like you can iterate over the enums itself using for loop and stuff like that. So until next time, in next video we'll cover different topics and so on. Until next time, have a good day, have a good learning, and let me know if you want to learn about something else or topic that you're interested in, and I'll make sure that to make a video about it. Thank you.